Oh man, oh man, oh man. I might get some dislikes on this video. Let me tell you. But no, what's up, guys? This is your boy Kazak here, and I am back again talking about JRPGs. However, today's topic will be a little spicier than usual. This time, I'm going to talk about RPGs that absolutely disappointed me. Now, keep in mind, this is just my own personal experiences with these games. If you enjoy any of the mentioned games on this list, then that's perfectly fine. Just because I ended up not enjoying some of these titles, that doesn't mean you can't find value in them. Play and enjoy whatever game you want, and don't let other people dissuade you from doing so. With that said, let's jump into the list. Right out the gate, we got Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Now, I have mentioned in the past about how I disliked this game before. In fact, I actually mentioned it in my Xenoblade Chronicles X reaction video, where I kind of give a little bit of reason as to why I didn't like the game that much. But I'm going to be going into a little bit more detail here in this video. Back in 2017, I was actually very excited to play this game because of the fact that it was one of the very first exclusive Switch JRPGs. So I looked at some of the gameplay trailers. I even saw people playing through the game a little bit, and I was like, you know what? I just got my Switch. I might as well pick this game up and see how it is. And I played it, and I beat the game. And while I didn't necessarily hate the experience overall, I was kind of left pretty disappointed with the game in general. Xenoblade Chronicles 2 almost turned me off from the franchise entirely. One of the biggest gripes I had with the game was its gameplay. Combat felt overly convoluted because the game itself did a poor job at explaining the gameplay mechanics and how certain features worked. In fact, this game is largely responsible for why I originally didn't like the Xenoblade Chronicles' combat system nearly as much as other RPGs. Granted, Xenoblade Chronicles 3 vastly improved the combat system, which made it actually really fun, and it improved my opinion of the combat system. But I still think it's one of the weaker elements of the game. I also didn't like the blade system either. While it was cool having a wide variety of blades to use in your arsenal, the process of acquiring them felt tedious and annoying to do. In the game, you gather items called core crystals, which can be used in this weird pseudo gacha system that will randomly summon a blade. It could be a really cool looking blade, or it could be something absolutely generic and lame. On top of that, each blade has their own skill tree that has a wide number of abilities to use, but had to be unlocked through many different conditions. Some aren't so bad, but other times it just feels like unnecessary busy work. I just hated the process of collecting core crystals and randomly getting blades that I might not really want. Granted, it's possible to get all the available blades, but I dislike having such a vital feature like this being obtained through luck. I'd much rather just earn them doing a side quest or unlocking more of them as I progress through the game. Another thing that I dislike too is that when you're exploring through the areas and stuff, and when I talk about these areas, I mean, you got these really big, amazing, beautiful looking environments, and you just want to explore, but there will be times where some parts of the map will be restricted and you can't go through a certain part of the map unless you have that Blades' ability. And this is something that I really dislike because this was something that Xenoblade Chronicles 1, Xenoblade Chronicles X, and even Xenoblade Chronicles 3 never did to you in your gameplay. You were allowed to freely explore however you wanted to and find unique and cool passageways or secret areas that obtain treasure and stuff. But for some reason in Xenoblade Chronicles 2, it restricted you from doing that little bit of exploration and kind of just locking it to oh, you gotta have this blade ability, and you might not even have the blade to, go through this part of the area, which was something that I really did not like at all. That seriously annoyed me. Now, when it comes to the story and characters, I'm sorry, but I didn't enjoy it that much. The story itself is okayish, but most of the characters really didn't click with me. The only characters I liked the most was Zeke and Nia. By the way, Nia is easily the best waifu in the game. I don't care what anyone says. The rest of the others just feel a little too basic and bland for my taste. However, I do want to give the game a little bit of props for its amazing soundtrack. Seriously, most of the tracks in this game are absolutely fantastic, and I highly recommend listening to them if you get the chance. Overall, Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is not a bad game, but it just wasn't the JRPG I was looking for at the time, and because of that, it still leaves a little bit of a sour taste in my mouth. Granted, my feelings may change whenever I revisit the game, but honestly, I'm in no rush to do so. Next up, we have Disgaea 6 Defiance of Destiny. After falling in love with the Disgaea series back in 2015, I was more than excited to get my hands on Disgaea 6. Granted, people weren't exactly happy with the 3D shift, but at the time, I didn't care. I was just happy to see that there was a brand new entry after the 6-year hiatus. So I bought the game, played it, and beat it, and then I threw my copy into the river. I'm just kidding about that, but I still have my original copy. In all seriousness, I was pretty displeased with this entry, and quite frankly, this is easily the worst game in the entire Disgaea franchise. First off, the gameplay took a major step backwards by removing some things from previous entries, such as team attacks, weapon transformations with monster units, and multiple character classes that were just completely removed in this game for no reason. The story and the characters are mostly pretty forgettable or just outright annoying, which, to be honest, Disgaea is not exactly a series known for its story, but rather the goofy, fun characters that you meet throughout the game and being interested in their backgrounds. However, this game completely misses the mark with the character. Graphically, the game definitely doesn't look as good as previous entries, which used amazing 2D artwork that made special attacks and moves fun to look at with their dynamic shots and effects, while in 6, it just looks completely flat, awkward, and stilted. The post game is also lackluster, and there's not really much of an incentive to become incredibly OP outside of achievements. Overall, Disgaea 6 was just an absolutely lackluster experience that I didn't enjoy that much. And it severely disappointed me because I am a very big Disgaea fan and I love these games and I enjoy them for what they are. Yeah, some people might not necessarily be into how goofy or tropey these games can be at times, but I just enjoy them because of the fact of how silly and stupid it is. I mean, that's kind of the whole point of the franchise, is that it's meant to be this funny, goofy take on the strategy RPG genre, which was something I have never seen in a lot of games before. You know, a lot of strategy RPGs tend to be super serious and super like deep and all this other stuff. Meanwhile, this guy is just super goofy and anime like just for the sake of it. And I don't know, I just thought it was pretty funny. But with Disgaea 6, it just, I don't know, I didn't feel the essence of the franchise here. It just felt so incredibly disappointing. Thankfully, Disgaea 7 ended up being a much better experience all around, and it was a pretty fun game. But when it comes to this game in particular, yeah, this game is easily the worst in the franchise. Now, this one should not be a surprise to anybody in the JRPG space, and that is Kingdom Hearts 3. Look, I've been a massive Kingdom Hearts fan for a very, very long time. I enjoy playing this Kingdom Hearts 1, I enjoy playing the second game. I even played Chain of Memories, which I ended up hating a whole lot, but I still played it because I wanted to understand the story and the gameplay. I even played Birth by Sleep, which I enjoyed. Dream Drop Distance, 358 over 2 days, whatever numbers it's in the day, 24/7, whatever. Okay, all you need to know is that I've invested a lot of time into the Kingdom Hearts franchise, and getting to Kingdom Hearts 3 was a very magical experience. You know, I won't sit up here and act as if like I completely just hated Kingdom Hearts 3 when it initially came out, because I didn't. In fact, I did enjoy my time with the game, and I was very excited to play this game. And I got a lot of enjoyment from this game too. However, the biggest thing that disappoints me about Kingdom Hearts 3, and ultimately why it is on this list, is just how lackluster the story was. It felt like a pretty weak conclusion to a narrative that we've been waiting so long for. And I get it. You know, Kingdom Hearts 3 was never meant to be like the end of the Kingdom Hearts franchise as a whole, but even as a conclusion to this particular Xehanort saga, it wasn't handled the best. I feel like if you were going to make this epic, awesome conclusion of this arc, then Square should have just done way more. I felt like there was way more opportunities and potential here that could have been expanded upon instead of just what we had now. You know, the complete lack of Final Fantasy characters, the complete lack of post-game bosses and content in the game. Another thing that really annoyed me about Kingdom Hearts 3 was how lackluster a lot of these worlds were. Now, granted, obviously the worlds are vastly bigger than it was in previous Kingdom Hearts games. But they somehow end up feeling a lot more lacking by comparison. For example, the Frozen world is such a nothing world. I mean, literally throughout the story, you climb through the exact same snow mountain like 2 to 3 different times in the story. I also just want to stress the fact that the lack of Final Fantasy characters just felt really off to me. Now, again, I'm not really the biggest Final Fantasy fan in the world. I don't know if I really made that clear on my channel, but typically when it comes to Final Fantasy, I'm kind of a little bit indifferent towards the franchise. I like some of the games, but not enough to consider them to be like my personal favorites or anything of the sort. But for Kingdom Hearts, it was the Final Fantasy characters are part of the experience. They may not be the whole entire experience of the game or the franchise, but the fact that you got to see some of these cool Final Fantasy characters were just really awesome to see, especially like when you got to fight against Cloud in Kingdom Hearts 1, and then you fight Sephiroth as the post-game boss and all that stuff. It was just really cool to see these kind of characters pop up and, be around, And I feel like just because it's more Disney focused or the story is getting to a point where, they quote unquote don't need Final Fantasy characters, I don't think that means you should exclude them by any means. I think that was just a very odd decision to make here. And I don't know. I just did not like that part of the game at all. The lack of those characters not being here just felt really off. Even in the DLC, you can tell that they just threw them in there just because fans were asking for them to come back. One thing I also didn't like too, and after this I'll probably be done with this segment, was I didn't like how they completely just cut off Twilight Town. Like Twilight Town is not the same as it used to be in Kingdom Hearts 2, where you can explore the entire city. No, they completely just cut it off to like 1 or 2 sections, and that's it. And I thought that was pretty lame because Twilight Town is actually one of my favorite worlds from Kingdom Hearts 2. So not being able to experience the entire city as a whole was pretty disappointing. But yeah, overall, I just felt like Kingdom Hearts 3, while I don't think it is a bad game, no, I still got my enjoyment from it and I like it for what it is. It still doesn't change the fact that this game could have offered so much more. Next, we have Pokemon. More specifically, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Now, for those of you guys who don't know, I used to be a very, very big Pokemon fan back in the day, especially around like the 3DS era where Pokemon X and Y came out. I used to be super, super in love with the games. I would play everything from Gen 1 to Gen 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then Gen 6. And then I would later go on to play Pokemon Sun and Moon. And then I played a little bit of Ultra Sun and Moon. I didn't really play too much of that game just because of the fact that back then I got burnt out on the franchise and started to shift a lot of my focus to other different games and all that stuff at the time. But I decided that like a couple of years ago, I would go and play some of these newer Pokemon games. I played Pokemon Sword and Shield, wasn't really too fond of it. I thought it was pretty lackluster. And then, in more the recent years, I would say like probably like a year or so back, I decided to play Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. And goodness gracious, man. Something about, maybe it's just a me thing. I don't know how other Pokemon fans feel, but when it comes to modern day Pokemon, these games just feel so lackluster to me. It's like they're just doing more of the exact same things that everybody knows, and it just feels too safe. Now, again, there's nothing wrong with necessarily doing the exact same thing over, especially if the formula is good. That's what Monster Hunter does. Monster Hunter has the exact same formula, but they always find ways to make it feel fresh and interesting. Again, don't fix what isn't broke. I get that. But when it comes to Pokemon, I feel like there's something here that's just missing when it comes to these newer releases. Like, even when you just look at these games, it's like, where did the passion go? Graphically, Scarlet and Violet did not look that great at all. I mean, even as I'm looking at the footage right now, oh man, goodness, the graphics do not look that great. Even for the Nintendo Switch, there are so many amazing Nintendo Switch games that look absolutely amazing. For example, like Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, Xenoblade Chronicles 3, some of the Mario games. Even Fire Emblem Three Houses looks better than Pokemon. And that's saying a lot because some people didn't even like the way Three Houses look. But personally, I think it looks better than Scarlet and Violet. And I get that they were also going with this whole open world style as well, which is not a bad idea for Pokemon. I think the concept of doing that is kind of cool, admittedly. But even then, it still feels a little bit hollow because it's just like there's nothing really too special about this. You're just kind of going out doing more of the exact same things that you did in the past games, except this time around you get to run around the fields and see the Pokemons, which is cool. But once again, there is a hollow feeling to it. I just don't get that same satisfaction, especially when you get into the combat system. Like when you get into the combat and you're fighting and you're picking out your Pokemons and stuff, a lot of the fights and the battles that you go through just don't feel that challenging in this game. They really don't. Maybe it's just because I'm an experienced Pokemon guy, so I know what to do. But I don't know. There's just a major lack of challenge, which makes the game a little bit too boring for my taste. The stories also just didn't appeal to me either. I find a lot of the characters to be kind of eh. Some of them were okay. Some of them were just not really that interested in me. And the fact that Pokemon still has no sort of voice acting or anything of the sort in the modern day of 2025 is crazy to me. I mean, come on. Even Zelda has voice acting now. I mean, what is going on, guys? Seriously. Pokemon should be way up than what it's currently at right now. But overall, I just feel like when it comes to Scarlet and Violet, these games kind of represent a lot of the issues I have with modern day Pokemon. And hopefully, as we get to the next generation of Pokemon on the Switch 2, it looks absolutely amazing. It's better, and it has all the things I would want in a modern day Pokemon game. But as of right now, this game was just not it for me personally. It was not. Ugh, good grief. Last but most definitely least, we have Star Ocean 5, Faithlessness, and Integrity. Oh my goodness. This game is terrible. Now, I mentioned at the beginning of this video that some of these games I don't necessarily hate. But this game in particular, I do hate a lot. This game is a pile of dog trash. Seriously. The amount the experience that I had with this game is just so unbelievably bad. And I remember buying this game day one, $60. My brother and I were so excited to play this new Star Ocean game. And the more we played it and we kept going through this game, the more I honestly just wanted to stop playing it and throw it in the trash can. That's how bad it was. I legitimately wanted to eject it out of my PlayStation 4, throw it in the garbage, rip up the disc, and completely just destroy every piece of this game. It was horrible the way that this game came out. It is absolutely unacceptable. Even now, Star Ocean 5 was a game that just completely irked me in every single way possible. First off, the story. What story? There was no story. It was absolutely terrible. It was just some boring story about some little girl or whatever. I don't even care enough to really recap what the story is because it was just that bad. The characters are basically plank of woods that have no development or any sort of interesting character whatsoever. Graphically, the game looked okay at the time, but some of the character models just looked very off for some reason. They had like this, once again, this weird doll-like kind of visual appearance that the Star Ocean games, at least the newer ones, love to do a whole lot. Even with Star Ocean 6, they do this weird doll sort of graphics thing, which looks so weird. It makes a lot of characters just look so awkward and just kind of creepy at times. Gameplay was extremely clunky, felt slow-paced, super boring, no sort of substance to it whatsoever. Even the cutscenes, oh man, the cutscenes. The annoying cutscenes that you couldn't skip. You had to sit there and listen to these characters, and the horrible voice direction and the overall acting was just so not good. Oh, and the more I talk about this game, the more actively mad that I get about it. This completely ruined the Star Ocean franchise's name, and it completely destroyed its reputation to the ground. It made the franchise look like the laughingstock of JRPGs, and that's why I absolutely despise this game with every fiber of my being. It just did so much damage to a franchise that has a lot of potential. And ultimately, I just can't forgive this game for how horrible it was. Thankfully, Star Ocean had a little bit of a comeback with Star Ocean 6 and the Star Ocean 2 remake, which was absolutely phenomenal. But this game's legacy will forever stain the name of the Star Ocean franchise until the next Star Ocean game, like whether that be like a Star Ocean 7 or whatever. And hopefully the next game can clean up more of the garbage and the bad reputation that Star Ocean 5 had dropped onto the franchise. Just an absolutely garbage game in general. Goodness gracious. Well, there you have it, guys. This was all the JRPGs I found to be disappointing. These are games that I had a lot of expectations for, and unfortunately, they just didn't really land the mark for me personally. Now, there are a few other JRPGs that did disappoint me, but I think that might be best saved for another video. Although I am curious to see what are your guys' most disappointing JRPGs in the comment section below. Do you agree with some of the takes I have here, or did you disagree? I'm actually very curious to see what you guys think in the comment section. Feel free to say what you want to say, all right? With all that said, though, this was your boy Kazak, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Peace. Now, I know that some people gave Xenoblade Chronicles 2 a little bit of crap because of the fact that the game had a lot of fan service in it. But I'm one of those people that actually was not bothered by the fan service. If anything, I actually like it. I mean, shit, listen, okay? Here's the thing. Monolith Soft did an excellent job when it comes to making Pyra and Mithra, okay? I mean, they definitely had me thirsting, all right? Don't get mad at me. Get mad at Monolith Soft, okay? If you want somebody to blame them, okay? Damn. I mean, Jesus, man. They look fine as hell. That's all I'm gonna say.